Hey, what's going on, everybody? Feels great to be back here recording episode 7 of my Road to Glory series. Last week I was off the grid a little bit. My wife and I went and had a little bit of vacation. Went to the beach in South Carolina, which is actually where we went on our honeymoon a couple years ago. So that was really fun to get to kind of go there and relax a little bit, kind of unplug. So enjoyed that. But now I'm back and I'm super excited because MLS starts this weekend. They've had a couple CONCACAF Champions League games. Which is kind of, the CONCACAF version of the UEFA Champions League, which is obviously, going on in full steam right now. But yeah, so that was exciting. Got a little kind of appetizer for the MLS season. The MLS had some really good showings in that tournament, which was kind of fun to watch. Everybody, all 5 teams got a good result in a tournament that the MLS has historically not had a lot of success in. So hopefully that's a sign of, the MLS kind of stepping their game up and, maybe being a little bit more of a competitive league. So that's exciting. I don't have any kind of rewards to show you guys, and it's not because I opened them all while I was on vacation. It's because I have not been, kind of sold off all of my Asia League players. I never got involved in Europe. That's going to come during kind of this European off season. I was focused on MLS, and now it's almost here, and I'm really excited because I'm a competitive person. So seeing everybody get their rewards and entering in all these lineups every week has been really hard for me to just kind of sit on the sidelines and watch, but we're almost there. MLS is starting, so really excited about that. I did make some new additions to my team, which I'm excited to share with you guys. So let's kind of start here. So my last video I showed you, I picked up a couple backup goalkeepers. Cody Cropper is my handcuff to Prosislaw Titan. So kind of giving me that insurance policy in case Titan gets hurt or transfers or, loses the starting job just outright to Cody. So that's nice to kind of have the Cincinnati goalkeeper spot kind of locked down. They play a little bit more of a defensive style anyways, not pushing forward as much, at least historically. They made some big investments in Lucho Acosta and Brenner, who are 2 attacking players, an attacking mid and a striker. So that approach may change, but either way, I've got the Cincinnati goalie spot locked up, which I feel really good about. And then I picked up Brad Knighton. So feel free to check out that video if you want more context on that. I picked up Brian Acosta right after that video finished. I think he's a really good pickup right now before the season starts. He's returning from injury, but he's back, he's fit. He played, I think it was the Honduras, maybe, the national team. But he was on international duty, which to me is a good sign because it just means that he's fit and ready to go for the season. And then, Thiago Santos was this kind of, they were going to be battling for time this year. It was kind of, wasn't sure if he was going to get all those minutes, but Thiago Santos got sold into a club down in Latin America. So kind of opened the door for Acosta. I think he's going to have, a lot of minutes this year. He's a really solid player. So I think, for 0.057 was a really safe pickup. He should, be a kind of consistent option there in the midfield for me. Moving on up a line, we've got, we'll start on the far right. So George Campbell. George Campbell is a center defender for Atlanta United. He came up through their homegrown system, which just essentially is their academy system, the way MLS calls it, their homegrowns. An athletic, aggressive defender, and hearing some of the local guys talk about him, they think he has a ton of potential. And could potentially elevate his game to the point where he could be pushing Miles Robinson for minutes, which I think Miles Robinson actually is going to really have a great year this year. But I think George Campbell is a really good young option, and maybe it doesn't happen this year, but at that price point being super low, someone that has that much potential to be kind of a rock in the center defense for a good Atlanta United squad. It seemed like a pretty low risk investment. And then I picked up Miles Robinson. So Miles Robinson, I think, is has the potential to be Defender of the Year quality. 2 years ago, he absolutely dominated, kind of burst onto the scene, started getting some looks with the national team. Very high all around scores. So there's decisive scores, and those are going to be your wing backs who are going to get a lot of those, getting up involved in getting a lot of assists, maybe picking up a couple goals throughout the year. Miles Robinson is a center defender. He's got a very high floor. So, I'm hoping he'll be kind of in that 50 to 60 point range every week. and then a couple times maybe he, has a decisive score, whether that's clearing a ball off the line, whether that's sneaking forward and getting involved on a corner kick, picking up a goal. And if he does that, that's just icing on the cake. But if he's consistently in that 50-60 range, it's a really, really nice floor for me. So I like that. His all-around scores are great. Will Bruin, awesome pickup here that I'm really excited about. I think, under 0.1 ETH for a starting forward, especially someone playing for the Seattle Sounders, who's always has a great attack. I think this could have the potential to be a really low entry point for a starting forward that should produce. SoRare USA actually is the first guy I saw talking about him, probably 3 weeks ago now. But I didn't jump in then. I, was looking at the forward market, wanting to pick up another guy. I saw him on the market, buy it now, 0.086, and it just seemed like a good value. So I grabbed that, and I think his price has actually gone up a little bit since then. So, but I still think, if you're looking for a budget option, he could be a really good pickup. And then Edgar Silva. So he is a forward, plays for Daegu FC in the K-League. He's coming back from injury, hasn't really hit his stride yet, which is why he's, so cheap. But I'm excited about him as a pickup. I think he offers a lot of upside. And Cecina, who is the kind of star for Daegu, is now out with an injury. I think when he comes back, he's actually going to help Edgar Silva. They play with too high a lot. So Silva and Cecina up top together, I think is going to make them a good attack, which will kind of help both of them. Not that Cecina needs the help, but I think it'll really help Silva, kind of open up some opportunities for him. So if that happens, great. And, that's probably not someone who I'm keeping long-term, but maybe get a few starts in my, Global All-Star D4. And if he, hits a hot streak, then flip him. That's kind of my approach with Edgar Silva. All right. And then probably the guy who I was the most excited to pick up is Adam Buxa. He plays for New England Revolution. Really, really, good team. And I think their attack is going to be awesome this year. They kind of hit their stride at the end of last year. And if you remember a couple episodes ago, I talked about picking up Carlos Heel, who's a midfielder for New England. He's kind of the engine that makes it all tick. He was injured for a good portion of last year. Buxa, he had some really good kind of advanced analytics metrics. He was in the right place, had a lot of good opportunities, and his goals just didn't necessarily come. So if that changes this year, which in preseason, it's been, a good story. They've been scoring a lot of goals in general, the New England Revolution have. Buxa's their, the number 9, plays at the top. So a lot of those opportunities should fall to him. And if he's putting them away like he has been in preseason, potential, to have a really, really big season. So I was excited to pick up a copy of his. Next, we got Henry Kessler. So Frederick Kessler goes by Henry. He is a really young center back, plays for the New England Revolution as well. I think they're just going to be a good team this year. I think he's a really solid player. Came in last year as a rookie, was his first year after getting drafted. Got kind of thrown into the starting role and really succeeded. He played with the U23 team in Olympic qualifying, which didn't go well for the team. But, he's just a very highly regarded young player in the MLS. 0.12, I mean, he'll have a couple of years in the U23. And it seemed like, a pretty, again, he's got a high floor, good all-around scores. Seemed like a good investment. I had a copy of him earlier that I actually included in my trade to get Carlos Heel. Kind of had my eyes open, looking out for picking up a copy of his at some point again. Pulled the trigger. Was happy to be able to get him. And then Frankie Amaya. So Frankie Amaya has been in the news a lot lately. He was the 2019 number 1 draft pick for FC Cincinnati as their new expansion team. They got the number 1 draft pick. This is who they took, and he was kind of their future. He's the guy they were building around. But Cincinnati has been awful. They've been absolutely dead last in our table, in the MLS table for both of the past 2 years. And it seemed like he just kind of got tired of it, asked for a trade at the end of last season. Kind of went through the offseason. People thought maybe they're going to work it out, and he's going to end up staying in Cincinnati. But picked back up, and he got traded to the New York Red Bulls last week, or earlier this week. It was last week. I was on vacation. I remember that. So I've been looking at him, and, I think FC Cincinnati is actually going to be a little bit better this year. I mentioned that they picked up some new attacking options. I think that's going to help the team overall. They're just going to score more goals, have more opportunities. So I was kind of excited about that for picking up Frankie Amaya. Then he got traded to the New York Red Bulls, and that's another young team with a lot of potential but kind of unproven. And I almost felt like I liked the situation in Cincinnati a little bit better for him, just because he had a really high floor there. So it seemed like adding attacking options, all that was going to do is add some more upside. But you had that consistent floor. Now he's going to the Red Bulls, and you just don't know what you're going to get. There's a lot more unknown, so there's more risk involved with it. Potentially more upside, but more risk as well. As soon as that news broke, everyone kind of snapped up all of the low offers. So the cheapest you could pick him up was 0.3, which is, I think, too much for him. He's a little bit unproven still. But I was just about to pull the trigger on him at 0.15, and then everyone bought up all the copies as soon as the trade news came out. So I was patient, waited a little bit, as much as that was kind of a hard thing to do. And then his prices started coming down. Someone had him listed at 175 yesterday, and I shot him a Discord chat and said, would you take 1.5? He said 155, and he's yours. Boom, the deal was done, and I picked up Frankie Amaya, which I'm really excited about. Really high all-around scores, which is what I really like to focus on, because having that all-around score means that as long as he starts and plays consistent minutes, you're probably looking at least a 50 kind of baseline, and then anything on top of that, whether he picks up an assist or just has a great game and has an even higher all-around score, maybe even scores a goal, then you start looking at 80-point range. So that all-around score is really, really nice, and kind of sets that baseline for you. So was really excited to pick him up. Super young kid with a ton of talent. His FC's, Cincy's kind of plan for the future to build around him. But now he's with the Red Bulls, who is a good team that focuses on developing young players. So I think it's a good opportunity, or a good landing spot for him. There's some other places where maybe he would have had more trouble getting on the field if he had gone there. So all in all, I think this is a good spot for him. I think he's still young, ton of talent. The reasons I liked him to begin with. So yeah, was super excited to be able to pick up a copy of his. And if you notice a little bit of a theme here, I got a lot of that U23 badge going on. So that's intentional, partially because, I want to have young guys that I'll be able to continue to play with for years to come. But also because I think, U23 is a new way to get another lineup entered into a tournament. So, I can now play my Global All-Star Division 4, I can play my Champions America Division 4, and I can get my U23 Division 4. Not quite there yet, still working on the goalie. But that's kind of the plan, and I think, it just gives me one more lineup I can submit. Miles Robinson, Kessler, Buxa, those were all guys that I wanted to pick up anyways, not even considering U23. Same for Frankie Amaya. So it just, seemed like if I make this investment anyways, and I'm already going to pick up Buxa and Miles Robinson, I've made a lot of the investment. Now I just need to kind of put a couple more pieces in place, and I can put another lineup forward every week, and hopefully pick up a few more rewards. So that was kind of my thinking there. A little bit more of a cash outlay than I was hoping to make probably, but hopefully I can start to win some rewards and not have to put more money into the platform, potentially even pull some money out of the platform. But I didn't overextend myself, right? Like everything I'm putting into this, I'm viewing as it's disposable income. If I lose it and it goes to zero, I'm going to be okay. I'm being responsible, and I encourage you all to do the same. Nothing I ever say is financial advice. You guys need to make whatever decision's best for you and your situation. But I do encourage you to, be responsible and, manage your finances, wisely. I know there's been some hard times in the kind of community, a lot of overlap with Football Index and Footstock, or anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I hate seeing that. I hate seeing the hard times everyone's going through. So just be smart as you're, buying players and investing into this platform, even though, I am excited about it. And that's why I'm putting my money into it, because I think there's a lot of opportunity, for short-term ROI, return on investment, through hitting the ETH threshold, through getting card rewards, being able to sell those. So there's that short-term potential, but I think also, long-term potential of as this platform continues to grow, which I expect to see, the demand for these cards is going to increase, and the supply is, pretty limited with only, 100 rare cards per player per season. So if you start to see, 100,000 people on the platform, what if it gets up to 1 million people on the platform? They're going to introduce new scarcities, and these, this rare scarcity will become almost like what the super rare scarcity is now. At least that's the way I'm kind of thinking about it. So, who knows how it'll all work out, but that's kind of my mental approach. So, yeah, I'm really excited for the MLS season kicking off soon. I almost forgot, so I kind of teased this in some videos last week. But the most important addition to my team is not here yet. It arrives tomorrow, and it is a new microphone. So I apologize for the crappy audio that you guys have had to deal with. I appreciate you sticking around and giving me positive feedback anyways. But the microphone arrives tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. You guys will hopefully have some better listening experience with that going on. So yeah, excited to get that and try it out. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep making videos, keep making content for you guys. MLS starts this week, so this is kind of the prime time for that. But yeah, stick around, hit the like button if I brought you value, give me a subscribe if you're not subscribed, and we'll see you guys soon for another video. Thanks, everybody.